all those moments will be lost in time.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So I came across a story and this story is still pretty fresh. I'm recording this video on October 10th, so if there are any updates I can manage to include, I'll include them. An SD card found on an Alaska street showed a woman's murder. Now a man is arrested. Now, I don't know about you, but when I first read this, I thought it sounded like a movie. Essentially, it didn't sound like real life. People will always find a way to be disgusting and disappointing, so really, should I be surprised? No. The memory card was labeled Homicide at Midtown Marriott and contained 39 images and 12 videos of an assault and murder. Now, one thing I have to say sounds strange to me is to label a memory card that, I guess, transparently, as much as this person is probably extremely organized, it seems bizarre to me. And I'm sorry if I laugh. If I laugh, I'm not disrespecting the victim. I just am thinking about this criminal being like, ah yes, let me look through my murder files. Ah yes, remember this murder at Midtown Marriott? Like, it just seems strange. Like, I feel like you'd try to hide that, right? I don't know. Maybe label it something less suspicious. So I figured out what's weirding me out about the labeling. It's the casual nature of it all, as if like there's nothing to hide, you know what I mean? It's acting as if it's any label, but it's not. Like, you're labeling a murder and you're just being like, oh yeah, this is that murder. It just seems too casual for me. That's what it is. An Alaska resident found a stray SD card lying on the street in late September and discovered gruesome content inside. Images and video of a woman appearing to be assaulted and murdered. Brian Stephen Smith is shown being arraigned on a charge of first-degree murder at the Anchorage Jail courtroom Wednesday, October 9th, 2019 in Anchorage, Alaska. This week, Brian Smith, 48, was charged with first-degree murder in the case, the Anchorage Police Department said in a Wednesday statement. Also, how do you exactly lose this? Because obviously I'm not a murderer, but if I were, I would just be anxious carrying something like that around for this precise reason. Also because it's labeled something suspicious like that. If it were labeled Tommy's 10th birthday, I don't think anyone would really give a shit and they'd probably just throw it away or, I don't know, list it as found on Facebook or something, but to list it like that and just casually drop it is bizarre. Now, that's under the assumption that this person didn't want to be caught. There's some murderers who like showing off their work and in the end almost want to be caught because at least then they'll have credit for what they've done. So I don't know what the intention was, but either way, absolutely unreal. The memory card, which was labeled Homicide at Midtown Marriott, was given to police by the woman who found it. Charging documents obtained by NBC affiliate KTUU in Anchorage showed. It had 39 images and 12 videos that recorded the alleged crime. The graphic videos show a woman being strangled and a man's voice saying, "Just die," the Associated Press reported. Police were able to identify Smith, a native of South Africa, from the video after recognizing him from a separate, unspecified investigation, in part because of his accent. After human remains were found along a highway just south of Anchorage 2 days after the memory card was found, police were able to start putting pieces together. Cell phone records trace Smith to having been at the place where the remains were found within minutes of when the last photo on the SD card was taken, police documents outline. Anchorage police think the human remains belong to the woman seen on the memory card, and the medical examiner is working to confirm the connection and cause of death. Police did not say why the SD card was in the street, but they believe Smith recorded the images himself, according to the AP. Smith remained in jail on Wednesday, where he's being held on an outstanding warrant. Police said they will release the name of the deceased woman once her identity is confirmed and family is notified. So then I googled Brian Stephen Smith, the alleged murderer, to just see if I could find more information about him, and there's an article by heavy.com that says Brian Stephen Smith, 5 facts you need to know, which I thought would be interesting since there's not all that much out there about him as of now. This was updated today, October 10th. I'll link the article down below because I'm only going to read the points because they outline the alleged murder, so I don't need to repeat that. Anchorage police say a citizen found the SD card, which was quote-unquote lying on the street. At 4:06 on September 30th, 2019, Anchorage police responded to the 3600 block of Lake Otis Parkway in reference to a suspicious circumstances, according to a police news release. A citizen had called APD dispatch and claimed they found an SD card containing a video of homicide. Officers met with the caller who stated the SD card was lying on the street in the Fairview neighborhood. 2. Smith is married to a former immigration agent from Alaska, according to their Facebook page. pages. I don't know why that's even really relevant, honestly. 3. Smith hails from Queenstown, South Africa, and served in the army there. Smith is self-employed and went to Queen's College. He lives in Anchorage, but is from Queenstown, Eastern Cape, that's in South Africa. On Facebook, Brian Smith shared photos of the Alaskan landscape and snow and commented on the temperature. He shared photos from Heathrow Airport in London and from a friend's cabin. Okay, I have to say, of all the things that I wanted to find out, none of these are extremely interesting. Smith called Black South Africans savages in a now deleted racist post on his Facebook page. Now this is more relevant, I feel like, because that speaks towards character more than taking pictures out of a cabin. So his post says, "Please keep sending money to blacks in Africa so they can buy soap to wash blood off their hands. The black Africans are only this blatant about their racism towards whites because they all have these bleeding hearts, whites who feel sorry for these savages." Yikes. 5. Smith was taken into custody at the airport in Anchorage. Police say that on October 8th, 2019, around 3:30 p.m., Smith was taken into custody at the Ted Stevens International Airport. He was questioned by detectives and remanded at the Anchorage jail overnight on his outstanding warrant. The Anchorage police extends its gratitude to the citizen who stepped forward with evidence of this crime. They played an instrumental role in making sure Smith will be held accountable for his actions. This serves as an example. When you see something suspicious, say something. Smith said in court that he can't afford a lawyer. This is Update Julia from a couple days after I filmed what you just saw, and I wanted to give you the most updated information. This article was posted 14 hours ago as of when I am filming this on Tuesday, October 15th. One key element that has been discovered is that they identified the woman that was being brutally murdered in the video. Her name is Kathleen J. Henry, and she was 30 years old. Since then, Henry's Facebook profile has become home to messages from friends, family, and strangers alike. "Rest in peace, dear stranger," one person wrote, adding a red heart. Others shared their anger and desire to see swift justice. "Rest with Jesus, Kathleen. I scream for justice / life in imprisonment," another Facebook user wrote. A friend who only wished to be identified by her first name, Gail, said she used to live in the village of Eek, Alaska, where Henry was from. She described Henry as a generous person who loved her family. She said she last saw Henry in August near Bean's Cafe. She was really happy to see me. She was hugging me and kissing me on my cheeks, saying, "If I receive my PFD, I'll go to my village," and she wanted to see her nieces and nephews, the woman explained. But Henry wouldn't get to make that trip. And then it also adds, "Henry's death is the latest calling attention to Alaska's high rate of missing and murdered Indigenous women, a pattern the group Native Peoples Action wants to see change. It's really tough," said Executive Director Kendra Kloster. "We're just really tired of hearing all the violence that's going on against Indigenous women. It's heartbreaking, it's traumatic for our communities, and this is why this is one of the top issues for us. We can highlight the topic and start talking about it and figuring out what we can do to increase public safety all across Alaska." So Alaska actually has a very high murder rate, and it only continues to increase according to a couple of articles I've read. I'll link one of them down below. I really do hope that something is done. I don't really know what can be done. I thought it was important to identify the victim since we've spent so much time talking about the murderer because there wasn't really much on the victim before. This shit is crazy. I think the craziest thing about this story so far is that a person just found an SD card in the road, and you never really expect to find a murder. At least I don't expect to find an SD card with a murder on it. So imagine looking through it, just trying to find like a selfie of maybe the person who owns the SD card and the camera, and instead you find that. Like, can you imagine how absolutely horrifying that must be? I genuinely feel so bad for the person who had to see all of those graphic images without really consenting, because when they opened it, I'm assuming they didn't expect to find that. Honestly, there's nothing of more jarring and scary than seeing dead people. Lucky that I haven't seen much, but I've sometimes had people send me links and stupidly I'd click on them and it was like someone getting shot in the head, and I could tell it was real and not a movie, which is, it changes you, and I'm not saying that to be funny, like it really fucks you up. Anyway, my dark little story aside, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think he wanted the SD card to be found? Like, do you think he just dropped it? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and let's get right into the fan art.